Yeah, shirt with undershirt, no tie.
No,
Rob, no tie Gaudette here in the house.
I might not even have pants on. I don't
Hey, you're in the comfort of your own home.
No,
well-
I'm in your basement.
Although, if you go pantsless and you sit in your
Hmm.
chair, like, do you have to
Yeah.
clean your chair all the time? Like, I feel like that's a sanitary.
I
hazard.
find the smell is acceptable.
Acceptable. What's in the realm of unacceptable then? Welcome back, Rob.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
Welcome back to you too.
Yeah, I was busting your chops. You're like, yes, damn, it's cold, and I'm like, yo, you bozo, you're Canadian.
Yeah. We
That's
are
what it's
currently looking at properties in St. Thomas to move down because I've realized I am not built for this this climate.
Is it? Yeah. I don't know. Because the kids are back in school today. Welcome everybody. If your kids are back in school, and my kids like to play outside a little bit after school.
Okay.
It is hella freezing. I was like dying. I'm like, and I'm looking around. There's some other, like, the teenagers, they're hanging out. They're not wearing gloves, no nothing. I'm like, how are you guys not dying? I had these like thin gloves, and I'm like, these gloves do not. The gloves do nothing. I feel like they were pulling in more cold air and absolutely killing my hands. But yeah, how was this shock to your system returning to the land of the frozen?
Well, it's a damp cold, right? Like it's not that bitter cold that we usually get in like the months of like late January to February. It's a very damp cold. But yeah, I was away. I was down south. I was away for 2 weeks, John. I've never gone away for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I've had vacation for 2 weeks where I've hung around the house or something, but I've never gone away. So we were. I was on a family cruise. There was supposed to be 17 of us, but given the storms that hit right before the holidays, there was only 12 of us. So unfortunately, 5 of our family members were not able to catch flights out. We barely got to the boat. I had 10 minutes to spare. And if you follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, you will know that I was having mad rage issues with Air Canada. The fact that they had lost my daughter's luggage. Right from jump, but John, we got it back at 12:30 this morning. They delivered it.
It was MIA for the whole trip. Yeah, that's always my fear. You pack a bunch of stuff in your bag, and it goes kaputskis. Knock on wood, has happened to me, but that sucks. At least it only happened for, I guess, one of you, so you had to maybe go and buy some supplies or whatever.
Well, not easy to do when you're on a boat.
You couldn't. Yo, there's no Uber airlift. We used to.
No, there was
we were
no
getting
Uber
skip the
helicopters.
dishes and DoorDash or whatever of delivery of stuff. Like we got bottles. We got a case of water. Like I think it's DoorDash or whatever to the hotel. Yeah. I guess they don't have the same service via boat, eh?
No, there's not somebody on a jet ski delivering your groceries. And then the second week, John, we surprised our kids. They thought we were flying home, and instead we flew to Orlando and surprised them with a trip to Disney, where I got to do all the cool stuff. I had spoken briefly to you about it beforehand, but I got to build my own lightsaber.
Ooh, all right.
I bought an extra one. I had to buy a couple for a buddy from work. So I'm in the course of waiting for them to be shipped here. They should be here in the next couple of days, but I'm pretty excited about that. So it was a good holiday, man. It was a good break. It was fun. Like I said, I've never done that before. I think I'll be paying for it for the next 10 years, but we like the cruise so much. We've booked a new cruise for the summer of 2024. So we're pretty excited. So
I think for a legit vacation, similar to like, when you get one day off, you need like a bit of a runway to like kind of get into it, right? The first, like you have one day off, you probably spend it doing all the errands or stuff that you didn't get to do throughout the week. It's not really a day off, right? If you have 2 days off, oh man, it feels like heaven, right? So same thing with 2 weeks. First week, you're kind of like getting the feel for the thing, but you transition from ship to land.
To Disney,
so I'd imagine, So I imagine if you spent 2 weeks in one or the other, it would have felt even better. You would have got more of a feel for it.
Well, I will say it wasn't our ideal choice. But if it was a perfect world, we would have done Disney first because we did like 24,000 steps every day. Back and forth between the parks and everything else. Just
have your Fitbit on or whatever.
Disney's exhausting. But I got to ride the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride. I'm not sure if you did when you were there.
Yeah. People were like, yo, what song was playing? And I'm like, I was too busy screaming. Like they play different songs depending on when you go and stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't hear anything. I was too busy going, oh.
Yeah, it may be my most, and I'm not a big roller coaster fan, but that may be my favorite one I've ever been on. And the Avatar, did you do that one when you went?
Avatar, I didn't get a chance to go to that side. No.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's a 3D ride. Totally worth the money spent on it. So all in all, a great holiday. Happy to be back. We've got a lot going on for this coming year. I think, John, we've had some conversations, but Happy New Year to everybody. I know you might be wondering, asking yourselves, wait a minute, I haven't seen any new Heroes World podcasts in my feed lately. And that's because one of us was unwell before the holidays. So we decided to hold off. So we're hoping to have our best of 20.
And then the other one flew out of town.
And then somebody left. The selfish asshole that he is. So we're hoping to. And by the way, let me just say that throughout the course of my trip, I actually was starting to lose my voice a bit. So you'll start to notice it's going pretty soon. But we will have our best of 2022 list coming out in the next few days, I'm assuming. So keep your feed locked, your notification bells ready to be rung for when that drops in your feed. But John, Happy New Year, my friend. I missed you.
We gotta ring those notification bells.
You gotta ring my bell. Ring that bell. John, how was your holiday, man? Was it a good one?
Yeah. I can't complain. We had a fun time at the shop. We did have a little bit of a snowstorm that you experienced, the delays in your flight. But we had to deal with that Christmas Eve, I think. No, Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
Christmas Eve. Yeah. So that's never fun. If you work retail, great, because you probably still got paid. But if you own retail, you're like, oh my God, we missed that day of Christmas sales. But it all worked out in the end. Lots of people came in and got gifts the following day. And then got to spend a ton of extra time with the kids. They were off for that extra week. It felt a little weird because you were basically in school right until Christmas Eve. And then they got an extra week off after. So it was nice to chill and do that. And yeah, it was just fun to see everybody. And yeah, some people are asking you how much lightsabers cost. You have to book that in advance, right, Rob? You can't just waltz in.
No.
Be like, yo, I'm here to build a lightsaber.
Yeah. And they're like, who the hell are you? So, so you go to Hollywood Studios. If you're planning a trip to Disney World, there's lots of blogs. There's a whole YouTube need a degree in mathematics or physics to be able to figure out the app and how you're going to plan things. But if you're looking to build your lightsaber at Hollywood Studios, it's Savvy's Cantina. You have to book it I think it's 60 days before you go. Your trip starts is when you can book it. And so my son and I, we booked it. It was $250. They've increased the price from a couple years ago. It's $250 US per person. Mm-hmm. It's about a 25-minute experience. It's kind of like this little mini theater. People can Google it. You can watch it. The whole thing's on YouTube, but you do get to pick what type of lightsaber you want. If you're Peace and Justice or I don't know what the other ones were, Revenge and something else, or if you're they had like not woodland, but kind of elemental. That's what it was. Elemental.
Yeah. There's like a storyline that goes with it.
Right? Yeah. So my son picked one. I picked a different one. Yeah. And we got to build it. You get to choose your kyber crystals, and so it was a really cool thing. But yeah, it's $250 US per person to do it.
Yeah.
There is another shop that is so like when you go to Hollywood Studios, they have lightsabers in packages. I think they're the black label ones. Yeah. And you can buy those for $250 as well. The blade does not come apart from the hilt. Or you can go further into Hollywood Studios, into the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge or whatever. And there's like I can't remember the name of the shop, but you can go in there.
I think it's like something Trading Post or something.
Yeah, like the Trading Post. You have to line up outside. Like you can go into the store,
not that then. Yeah, I didn't see that then. Yeah.
For lightsabers, you have to line up outside to then go into the store to line up to look at the lightsabers. They have them in display cases, and they only have like 2 caches, and you have to look at them, and then so that way you can buy it. It comes like a nice gray plastic case where it holds the hilt, and you buy the blade separately. It's 2 different sizes. I think it's 30 and 35 inches. So, but those, if you wanted to buy that, it came out to in US dollars like $228. So it's about a $25 difference. Oh. But those ones you cannot change the crystal inside. So it all kind of depends. I bought the Legacy Skywalker one to go with the one I built, and my son bought the Legacy Vader one. So he's got his. He took his on the plane. I had 5 of them shipped out, so I'm just waiting for them to arrive in the next couple of days. Looking to get some nice stands for it and stuff like that. But yeah, so if anybody's interested in that, it is expensive, but it's how often
you have to book in advance. Don't forget, like if it's in your budget, whatever, that's great. But you have to book in advance. You can't just show up the day of and go, hey, let's go build a lightsaber. You got to plan that ahead. And I did see there was also a droid workshop, but I guess we shouldn't go too crazy with the. Yeah, Gord's laughing at you for getting 5.
Well, they're not all for me.
You technically have 5 members of your family, right?
Including the 2 of them were the ones that we built. 1 I bought for myself, and the other 2 were for a guy from work. So,
yeah, all right,
yeah,
beautiful. So overall, very happy with your experience, Rob. What we'd like to open up the show with. Thank you everybody for joining us. You are watching the Sidekick Show. It is Monday, January 9th. Goodbye 2023. Goodbye 2022. Hello 2023, folks. A lot of happy New Year's in the chat. But we did want to catch up with you guys during the holidays. We've heard a lot about Rob's trip. Did you get to do any of the other stuff? I know you brought a bunch of books with you, downloaded a bunch of stuff to your iPads, and did you bring your backbone? Did you bring the backbone with your iPhone 8?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, before you ended up using it, I had a moment where I was like, I kind of want to listen to my music, and I was like, maybe I'll have an additional music player. And I'm looking up stuff online, and it's super expensive. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm like, what if I get my wife's old iPhone, like early generation? And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to carry 2 iPhones, one to play music and one to have my regular phone. I'm just going to use my regular phone to do it all. You have 2 devices to use your backbone now.
Right. I regret purchasing the backbone.
Instant regret. Do you want to make a pitch right now to sell a used backbone?
No. To say it's used has a different connotation. It is lightly loved. I did not. I used it for all of 22 minutes, maybe, while I was on a plane. I didn't really use it. I brought down Dune with me to read, and I got about 70 pages in, and I was very lost as to what was happening. And I realized Dune 2 is coming out this fall, so I might as well just wait for the movie to come out. I understand everything that's kind of going on. So I put that in the back burner, and then I started reading.
I found an old copy of Dune, and a friend of mine gave me like a whole bunch of his old books. So I'm like, maybe I'll try and just carry this around and see if I actually go through it. But you're saying you went 70 pages in and are hitting the eject button.
No, I was enjoying it, but you know what the problem is that the movie, the book does not as linear as the movie. The book kind of has a lot of different characters that we're going to meet in the sequel coming out this fall.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm just going to hold off and wait. So, it was interesting. I really enjoyed what I was reading, but I was like, it was just getting a bit too much. And then I had the Mark Greaney, who's the author of the Gray Man, and I'm about halfway through that. So all I have to say is I didn't get through, but I watched a few movies that I did download. I watched Interstellar and The Batman because
rewatches.
Love that movie. And The Recruit. I watched the 8 episodes of The Recruit on Netflix.
I did too. I burned through it. I loved it. I'm surprised that you feel lackluster about it. Let me get to this comment from Gordon here for a second. What's wrong with 2 devices, Gordon? Nothing if you're a drug dealer. Anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on. So you didn't like it? I think it might make my list.
Of 2022?
Yeah, 2022. I think what's his name? Noah Centineo is super charming in that. If you guys watched The Recruit on Netflix, let us know if you liked it.
I didn't hate it. I was just like, oh, you know what? I realized that Jack Ryan is out, and I was like, I think I'd rather watch that, but I finished The Recruit.
But it was fast. It was fast paced. I thought you would like it because of the whole spy espionage, and I think the main character that Noah Centineo plays, who's the recruit, just was kind of a cool character. He's quick on his feet, that type of thing. Likes to get in over his head, and kind of thrives in there. So I guess we'll wait until a couple other people check it out. So you got to watch that. So that's definitely a new thing you watched.
I watched The Northman. The Northman.
Oh, yeah. That movie that everybody forgot.
Viking action movie.
Yeah.
Not a lot of action, John. It was very much a Stu kind of gave me the warning. It's a bit of an artsy movie, and I was like, people keep saying how great it was. It was okay, but I was really hoping for like a Viking version of Conan the Barbarian, and unfortunately, that's not what we got. So
yeah, you didn't get like a Call the Conqueror, like heavy metal rock music action fest.
Eric is asking, is Interstellar the one with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short, or was that Inner Space? No, that's Inner Space. That's definitely not Interstellar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what about you, John? What did you over the holidays? Did you get up to watching anything? I mean, obviously you saw The Recruit, as you just said. Anything else?
I tanked through The Recruit. I really enjoyed it, and then I did finish off a couple series. I did keep up with Tulsa King. I only got to episode 7 though. I know you guys were like not over the moon about it.
No, now that it's over,
Is 8 the last one?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 8, I'm gonna get to it. I don't know if it's as strong as I thought it was in the beginning. I did finish Terminal List. I don't know if you finished Terminal List. I wasn't super thrilled with it, but I don't want to give away anything spoilery for it.
I found the last 2 or 3 episodes of that series was really, really good. But leading up to it was a slow ass burn, man.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff to like about it, but overall, I didn't like how it wrapped up, which I think is going to come up when we talk about our best and worst of 2022. How certain shows wrapped up. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Let's check in with what everyone else got up to during the holidays. I was just working, Rob, most of the time, having fun at the shop. Got a lot of kind of gaming in. Learned a couple new games, so a couple new tricks in my sleeve for people who are looking for fun things to play at the shop. I'm trying to think if I finished any other shows. I don't think so. I think the main one that I really did like was I did really like The Recruit. So we'll get to talk to that later. But let's check in. So I think Fraser, I think you popped that comment up before. Top Gun and No Time to Die on iTunes. One of those movies is extremely boring, and the other one is fantastic.
You're an idiot.
Okay, No Time to Die is okay.
No, you only saw it the once.
I saw it once. I'll give it a second chance before I really bash it. But I did really like the Anna de Armas part. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to talk about this 1899 thing later on, Rob. I'm sure that was a sad day for you if you saw that notification while you were out. Michelle watched Top Gun Maverick. Michelle, interested to hear what you think. I know you might have some attachment to the old movie, being one of the greatest action movies of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Sarah? Sarah says she watched Violent Night. Rob, you watched that in theaters.
I did.
It did become available on streaming a little bit before Christmas. And most people I talked to thought it was fun.
Oh, now that I think about it, I did see Avatar. We talked about that before I left, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did see the Avatar movie.
Yeah, Avatar. Did you go see it while I was over the last couple weeks?
I couldn't do it, man. The 3 hours was too much. Plus, add on the additional 2 hours is it 2 hours for the first one? Whatever it would take me to watch the first one as well. I didn't have that much extra time for the holidays. I really wanted to get in how everyone has that marathon that they do? They do like Lord of the Rings, or you might do James Bond or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of want to do Fast and the Furious next year. I want to see if I can get through as many of the movies in a row as I can.
Really?
So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I don't know. There's a special place in my heart for those early ones, especially.
Tokyo Drift, you said was your favorite. I always
no,
thought that was
God,
favorite.
no. Yeah, no. You don't
put was your absolute favorite. You said Bow Wow made the movie.
Every time someone brings that up and goes, "It's not bad," I'm like, "Yo, they put the Skyline engine in the Mustang. This is blasphemy."
You have to understand, though, that most of us don't know what the hell you're talking about. But, yeah, okay, whatever.
Exactly. But anyone who does should be offended. You've offended me, and you have offended my family.
You've offended my sensibilities.
So Michelle says Top Gun is no Howard the Duck. No, sorry, that's Scott. Michelle says Maverick was silly fun. Rip off Star Wars, 100%. But it was a fantastic ride. But yeah, all right, Rob. Do you want to talk about anything else before we get? Oh, look, did you hear about that Megan movie? Eric
Yes,
brought
I've
that
heard
one
it
up.
was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked creepy as hell. I didn't
You
watch it.
won't see it because you don't really like those type of movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like horror now, a little bit.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we'll see. Eric, let us know. You just said we didn't see it. Good guess. We didn't see it. What did you think of it?
We could call out, Eric. You're right. We didn't.
Michelle says we should do Fast and the Furious, one movie a week. We maybe should try it once.
Oh, fuck. No.
It changed. Like the evolution of Fast and the Furious. Would you ever think that Fast and the Furious 1 would lead you to where they are now? It's insane, right?
About this. We had this conversation, I think, one of our earlier Heroes World podcasts. I remember Andre, we had this whole, remember I was saying, like, you look at the trajectory of where those characters were in number one. It doesn't equate to where they are in the last movie.
That's what I said. It makes, like, you would never, like, if someone time traveled, right, into the future and went like, oh, you got freaking Fast and the Furious 9? How did this happen? Like, they would be like, this should not have happened. So it's crazy. And when I was at Disney, I was thinking, like, who could achieve this? I'm like, they could make a Fast and the Furious park, could they not? And have, like, the Toretto family house and all that kind of stuff. They could have all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So the franchise is just out of control. So maybe we'll get to it.
Aren't you surprised that they don't have that at Universal Studios? Like, I know I haven't been to Universal and we are planning to go in 2024, but I'm surprised that they don't have that at Universal Studios.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm like, how they've not capitalized on this? How come there's no Fast and the Furious roller coaster? How come there's no interactive ride? There's no Days of Thunder like screen 3D experience. I don't know if you went on the Millennium Falcon ride, which is basically a video game simulator. They could do something like that. Like, there's so many things they could do. They could have you sit in the cars. You could go have a Corona at the bar or whatever. But yeah, anyways, we'll circle back to that. And I think, sorry, where would it go here? That's some more nonsense that Rob would know nothing about.
Yeah, I have no. I was like, "What is this about?" Is
N64? Eric said the Megan movie is a fun movie. What's it called? Megan? It has a 3 in it or something, right?
It does, but yes, it is called Megan.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to. I think I'll definitely catch it on the streaming service. But yeah, anybody, if you got anything in during the holidays and you wanted to share with us, let us know in the comments, and we'll kind of cycle back to us. Rob, I think you were a little busy, like you said. Came back in here. So you didn't really have time to find news, or there wasn't a lot of news happening. So as the holidays were going on, I just started grabbing random stuff. We could react.
How responsible you are.
Yeah, I'm not really. You're gonna see how shoddily put together this is, but we're gonna have some fun, folks. We're gonna have some just random news stories, rumors, things that happened during this Christmas, New Year's break. And we're gonna react to them. So hopefully you guys have some fun with us.
And then stay tuned. Definitely don't want to leave. We're not. This is not going to be a super long show, but we have a pretty big announcement about what's going to be coming up next week and over the next few months. So you definitely want to stay tuned, John. That's what we call a teaser. All right.
Yeah, teaser time. All right. So let's talk about some things that happened over the holidays, Rob. And we'll open with the movie that Lewis and Fraser actually said they saw, and they said you could cut 45 minutes from it. But Avatar made a crap ton of money.
Yes.
1.7 billion last count. I'm sure it's maybe gone up to 2 billion by now. And I believe Cameron has stated this is profitable, so I'm going to make the next 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 10 movies he's going to make. Rob, do you care?
No. But so Avatar 3 has already been it's shot. We discussed it. It's completed in terms of its, everything aside from some of the special effects. So that's coming out in December of 2024. What his comments are here are in regards to whether or not he was going to be able to make 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, John, this is now considered profitable. This movie, I think it had to make 1.5 billion to be considered profitable.
Yeah.
So it hit that mark and is going to continue to bankroll. And so off he goes to make more of this world. It will be very interesting to see what happens once these are all done.
Yeah.
And how we as pop culture enthusiasts, I guess you could say, John, and as moviegoers, how we look at this world of Pandora, this cinematic world that he has built, how we look back on it in 10 and 20 years from now. Will it hold with the Lord of the Rings, with the Star Wars? Will it be up there? Because currently it's the 7th highest grossing movie of all time. It's obviously going to keep going up the chart. So I don't know. I don't know how we're going to look back on the Avatar movies.
I think it needs one more. I think it needs the third one to really cement itself into the culture. You know what I mean? Like everything came in threes, like the Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, like you mentioned, and all that kind of stuff. They had 3 monster hits, and they're forever part of our culture now. But yeah, I didn't really care other than the fact that it did beat Top Gun Maverick. I thought for some reason in my head that nothing was going to be able to top the nostalgia storm that was Top Gun Maverick. But yeah, I guess that's quite a feat. Like I was going to pull the list of the other 7 movies that are ahead of this. But yeah, I don't know. No, I didn't. I totally didn't. I forgot to do that. So maybe we'll grab that as we go along. But yeah, so I don't know. I get, barely anyone's seen it. I think you, Lewis and Fraser in the chat have seen it, and that's it. What a weird slice, because I know a lot of people have seen this. It made this much money.
I saw somebody online, and you know what? It could have been Ed the Sock, now that I think about it. The Canadian icon, Ed the Sock. I think he said Avatar is much like Nickelback. He doesn't know anybody who's admitting to seeing it, but it's made a ton of money.
I think I owned a Nickelback album back in the day.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure
whatever that first smash was, Silver or something or whatever, it's in my collection somewhere. Thanks, Lewis. Lewis is making the sacrifice and wasting his data on the live stream. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Pop in a headphone and just take us on the go. This was a story that you found, Rob. I don't know what this means. What does this mean? Greg Berlanti, is he a big deal? What's going on?
So Greg Berlanti is this mega producer who
looks kind of like a young Eric Roberts.
Right. Yeah. He created the Arrowverse. He's behind.
Oh, okay.
Greg Berlanti helped bring Arrow to the CW following the end of Smallville. Greg Berlanti also started off in movies. I mean, he was a producer with Green Lantern, the Ryan Reynolds movie, and a couple other ones, but he did bring Arrow and then helped steer the entire Arrowverse. So he was the overseer, I guess you could say, of Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Superman and Lois, Supergirl. I think I'm forgetting one. Batgirl, and also was it Static? No, it wasn't Static Shock. What was the other one?
Black Lightning. Yeah. Okay.
So he's the kind of the overseer of that, and he just signed. Listen, we've talked about this for the past number of months, since about April. So Warner Brothers Discovery is going through these massive shakeups. Lots of things have happened. We talked about it just before the holidays with James Gunn taking over DC with Peter Safran for DC Studios and whatnot. But this is a big deal for Greg Berlanti to be able to. The Arrowverse is over and done. Stephen Amell has gone on record. He will be reprising his role as the Green Arrow for the final season of Flash that comes out February of this year starting. But Berlanti has re-signed and will be, I feel like the deal goes until 2027. So, and he's got some things in the pipe. Supposedly, he was the one that was helping to develop and spearhead that Green Lantern Corps show for HBO Max.
Okay.
That supposedly we thought was dead, but it might still be being reworked and retooled. But he'll be behind that. So it is a really big deal, no pun intended, for Berlanti, for WB, especially because there is no CW anymore. Those shows are gone off of that network. So we'll see what output he has and where.
He's got a lot of free time. He's got a lot of free time.
Yeah.
A lot less shows to deal with. Cool. That's actually pretty interesting. Although a lot of those shows, I don't know, they all turned to kind of mediocre, just kind of fan service after a while, right?
But they were making mint. Like, that's the thing.
There was a point, there was a point where it was super strong, and you were like, DC just make TV and own this realm.
Yeah,
and then they kind of lost it. Yeah. So maybe he could kind of let the reins go and other people took over. So if he's back at the helm and hungry for it, could be interesting stuff. This was one of the other things you sent me, Rob. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
Is this movie going to get canceled? Is it filming? I couldn't find any photos of it.
Okay, so this is an interesting story. So this is Francis Ford Coppola had a tough time being able to finance this movie, and he essentially used $120 million of his own money to finance this movie that's currently filming in Atlanta. It's a huge visual effects spectacle, and supposedly it is exploding. It's going up. He's fired his VFX crew. A bunch of the creatives behind the scenes, producers, have walked off the set. Mm-hmm. It's apparently just a shit show down there in Atlanta with this production. However, this has kind of happened to Coppola before. He fired a whole bunch of people, and during Apocalypse Now, it was very famous.
Yes,
the production was going, just ass over kettle. And look at the masterpiece that he created. Also, he very famously fired almost all the visual effects artists off of his Dracula movie from the 90s, and that still did gangbusters as well. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe this, these things happen. Next thing you know, the movie gets released, and it's hailed and praised as wonderful. Yeah. But he is also an individual who went on record kind of bashing Marvel movies and these big tentpole spectacles. And he's taking his stab at a very visual effects heavy movie, and things aren't working out well for him. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's karma. You don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, so to speak. Right?
Yeah. Karma, chameleon. Shout out, if you've ever watched the.
Sorry, did you just quote the Culture Club? Did you say karma?
No, chameleon? I don't know what you're talking about, Rob. You are insane. You're hearing things. But if you've listened to the Scrubs podcast, which is what's it called? Something doctors. I don't remember what it's the Scrubs rewatch podcast. They always have John C. McGinley on there, who was a part of Apocalypse Now, and he talks about how nutso it was on that set. That they didn't know what was going on. You just basically had to show up to set, and they would just kind of like figure things out as they went. But yeah, you're right. The crazy hell of a movie. So I guess we'll see. I was interested when I saw the concept designs and stuff for it. I'm like, oh, cool. So yeah, we'll see if they run out of money and they have to Batgirl scrap it or something. I don't know. Rob, how shocked were you when how shocked and worried were you when Jeremy Renner was reported to get seriously hurt over this holiday season? I was really scared for this guy. He's kind of become one of my favorites now after Hawkeye, after Mayor of Kingstown.
Right.
And just everything he does, and you find out he's out there like kind of has his own snowplow and all this kind of stuff, doing things himself. I was pretty worried. A lot of people kind of posted up and were like, "Oh my god, are we going to lose Hawkeye?" So
I was I know I was on the boat, and I was on my phone, and I saw this thing come through, and I sent it to you guys. I was like, "Holy shit!" So Jeremy Renner, as John said, he has his own snowplow, but it's not like one of those big monster things that we think of, on the roads. But he's got a fair-sized property, and supposedly he had some family over that were visiting, got caught in trying to leave the property, and he was out there. He was plowing the road or the driveway for people to get out, and some of his family members got stuck in a snowbank. So he got out of the snowplow to try to help get them out, and whether he forgot to put the machine in park, it started sliding down, who knows, but it started to kind of roll towards them. He tried to run to jump into the cab to get it to stop, and things didn't work out well, and sustained pretty severe injuries. To be honest with you, when you first saw that report, it was like they were calling it catastrophic injuries, and his chest was crushed. Like, you thought this guy that was it, he was done. We don't know the extent of his injuries. There were rumors that They had to use a tourniquet to stop the bleeding on his leg. There was a doctor who was a next door neighbor who was there, witnessed it. So at least he was on site and on scene to be able to apply the tourniquet. And they used an air ambulance to extract him from the scene and get him to a hospital as quickly as they could. So we don't know the condition of his lower extremities or anything going forward. We don't know what his rehab is going to be like, but as evidenced by the photo that John shared, and he's shared a couple other posts on social media, he is,
it shows what a good, like, it's like, dude, take care of your health. But he was like concerned about his fans enough that he kind of like wanted to give like an update with a picture and a joke and all that kind of stuff, to just be like, hey guys, don't worry, I'm okay. But yeah, I really hope quick recovery for him. And man, I can't imagine what that was like for his family during that time. But I was like, man, respect to this guy who's like got a whole, like, most people would call a guy, right? And be like, oh yeah, my family's stuck, I'm gonna call whatever. But then machinery is dangerous, right? We remember that there was that kid who Ashton Yeltsin or whatever, who was
Anton Yelchin.
He was on Star Trek. He was the voice on Troll Hunters and stuff, and I think his car was like left in gear or parking brake wasn't on.
Yeah, it was a Jeep. He went down to get the mail from his mailbox, and he had parked at the top of his driveway, and it switched gears and crushed him, rolled down the hill and crushed him.
So some tragic stuff. So everyone, please be careful out there. Fraser, I know you work on a lot of heavy machinery and stuff like that, so please be careful, buddy. So let's.
But you know what, John? That is to say, though, that I believe Mayor of Kingstown returns this Friday.
I think it's the 15th or something like that. Yeah. So if you're contemplating Paramount Plus membership, not only do we have something later on in the show when we announce what's happening next week, but Mayor of Kingstown, King of Tulsa, like a lot of good stuff on there. Top Gun Maverick, I think that's the only place to stream there. So shout outs to that. We're gonna mention it again later. Rob, I think we were having bets on this. Wakanda Forever on streaming February 1st.
I was off by a month.
Yeah, I think I called February, didn't I?
I think you might have, yeah.
Yeah. I think I called like after the winter season. So yeah, shout outs to that. Do you think, upon reflection now, are you gonna rewatch it? You guys in the chat, if you didn't watch it, are you waiting for streaming? Is that why you didn't go to theaters, or did you watch it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think, Rob, upon reflection? I know we already did a review, so if you haven't checked out the full review on the Heroes World podcast, I think we were kind of mixed in our feelings. It wasn't quite the home run that we thought it was going to end up being.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not sure. Like, February 1st, I won't be like sitting down with a bag of Cheetos for getting ready to.
Yeah. As soon as it drops on stream, you're not going to be there. Right?
No, I probably will revisit it. I just don't know when. I feel like I have an issue with. I wasn't a fan of Shuri in this movie. It irritated the piss out of me. So I don't know. I'll watch it again, but it's definitely, there's other things for me to watch first. So how's that?
Yeah. I definitely got to watch it again. I did have a bad experience in the theater. The entire row in front of me was on their phone the whole time. Right. But I did go all in for this movie, Rob. I think I sent you the picture. I bought the cup, the popcorn tin, everything. So I was almost like $100 in for this premiere, and it was ruined by that front row in front of me. And I feel like the movie wasn't as strong as we were hoping it to be, but almost an impossible feat given the loss of Chadwick Boseman, right?
Yeah.
I think there have been articles since discussing what the original script would have looked like. So
yeah,
it's just what it is, right? There's nothing you can do about it now, unless they just decide, hey, we're going to put this on the shelf and just revisit this series at a later date or something like that. So it's all, we'll never know what could have been. But yeah, I think everyone is pretty much on the same page that they probably will rewatch this, but they might not be day one rewatch.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's stay in the Marvel realm. I saw another article, Rob, about John Cheadle said in an interview that he had 2 hours to decide if he was going to take this War Machine part.
Seriously?
Yeah. So like I guess he had like a really quick maybe call from an agent or something like that, and they were like, "Yo, dude, you want this part or not? See you later." And I've got a little inset picture of Terrence Howard. Rob, do you ever wonder what the world could have been like if Terrence Howard stepped back in as War Machine?
Yeah, I do. I have wondered that. Like, I wondered how he would have interacted. Like, if you think about all the interactions.
Yeah, War Machine's been around. Like, he's always been like kind of like in the mix, right?
Yeah, I mean, you saw him in in Age of Ultron. He was doing his whole joke, dropping the tank and boom and stuff like that. And he did all this stuff. And I think, could Terrence Howard have pulled that off? And I don't think he could have. I think his humor is just different than how Don Cheadle's and his delivery. But I am a big Don Cheadle fan, but I have a tough time seeing him as Rhodey, as War Machine, because he's a skinnier guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't look like he could fill out the suit. Terrence Howard looked like he had some built to him, some muscle to him. Like, you thought, oh, this is a guy who could be imposing as a military guy. If you look at Don Cheadle, he doesn't look like he served a day in the military at all, right?
I don't know. I feel like Terrence Howard. I didn't really believe him in the military aspect of it.
All right.
Maybe because I recognize him too much from Hustle and Flow and now Empire. But maybe he wouldn't have done Empire if he had stuck with the Marvel train, right?
But he got too big for his britches.
I think it would have been interesting. I think you're right. They are very different stylistically, though. Like Terrence Howard definitely would have. I don't know if he would have brought more. I don't know. They both, like, Don Cheadle brings the comedy, and he's in everything. Like sometimes you'll turn on a TV show and you'll be like, "Hey, Don Cheadle's in this." You're like, "This guy's everywhere," and there's a reason, because people love seeing this guy, and he's a very good actor performer. But I don't know if maybe I guess he's a little older now, but he does look a little lean in the latest projects we've seen him in. But he still brings his A game. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe Terrence Howard will show up in a multiverse movie or something of some kind.
Oh, could you imagine?
Tony Stank, I remember that line. That was great. Thank you for that. Thank you, Tony Stank. That's great. It's almost akin to, like, what if Ja Rule had stayed in the Fast and the Furious franchise and actually taken the falling part instead of Ludacris stepping in. We'll never know until some multiverse drops.
I don't understand why Exhibit was never in the Fast and the Furious movies. He had that.
He trashed anyone who's a car guy that wants to tip my ride, and they're putting waterfalls and like makeup vanities and all kinds of ridiculous crap. Like, I think there's actually whole Reddit and YouTube channels devoted to people who found these cars that Pimp Your Ride just demolished. They just straight up ruined people's cars and lives with that show. So I don't think he would have got any respect from on the Fast and the Furious. Maybe he got a little bit more than Bow Wow got. So maybe if he showed up in Tokyo Drift instead of Bow Wow, he would have got like a little bit of respect. But X to the Z Exhibit. We'll see if he comes back. Wednesday, season 2. Rob, are you excited? They announced season 2.
So I haven't seen season 1 yet. I was actually contemplating starting it last night, but I was just so spent. I was like, I can't do it. So I still have to see this. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Like, I've not heard negative at all. So I'm pretty stoked to see this. I think it's great. Yeah, sure. Why not? What the hell? Bring it back.
And nice that they got on that announcement. I guess fairly quickly, right? I think the season just came out.
Came out in November, right? Early November. It was just after Halloween, which I always thought was bizarre. It was like a week or so after Halloween. I was like,
you couldn't hit that like 1 or 2 weeks earlier, but maybe they were
what
worried
the hell?
Too many people were watching other stuff. So I know a lot of people in our chat did watch Wednesday and did enjoy it. We did mention Veronica Mars. If you liked Wednesday and you haven't seen Veronica Mars, season 1, 100%. There's no way you can not recommend Veronica Mars season 1. Probably one of the best pieces of television of our generation, maybe. Rob, this one probably sad news when you heard it. 1899 canceled. Did it end up? Does it have a cliffhanger? Does it have an ending?
No, it has a bit of a cliffhanger ending.
Hey,
and it's funny, right? Because I have talked about the producers and creators of the show did Dark, and John, I mentioned this back in 2020. I watched it in 2020, all 3 seasons that had come out, and was raving about it. And during this show, during our main show, it was my pick of the year. And it was funny. This show came out, and concurrently, Dark re-entered the Netflix top 10. People were just crushing Dark. I said a few weeks ago, I think it was here, that I didn't I like this, but I didn't find it to be as engrossing or
I think you said you needed more seasons to decide if it was
on par. And we're not going to get it. And so this was it ended up on a bit of a cliffhanger. But I feel like I thought I would have been really pissed about it, and I'm just kind of like bummed, going but I'm not like irritated where I'm like, come on, man, I want to know what happened. Like I'm just. I think because
it's enough of an ending that you're kind of like can be like, all right.
And I think that the show just didn't grab me the way that I was really hoping it would have. So
okay. Is there a noticeable difference between this and his other project, Dark? Is there like a lot more money in this one or a lot bigger cast? I'm not familiar with either show, right?
So Dark is completely in German, and this one has nationalities right across the board. It's and with different languages, and this I would say that this is probably a bigger budget. They used the volume to film this entire show, so I think there's a lot more money involved with this. But I would highly recommend people, if you haven't seen 1899 but you're still interested on Dark, just it's 3 seasons. I think it's 18 episodes in total or something like that. Just watch Dark. I think you'll appreciate that a hell of a lot more. And just for those of us who watch 1899, it is what it is. We'll never know what the ending, what it meant. We won't know, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see. So that show has been canceled, Rob. There's another show coming out, possibly. I don't know since you are one of the few of us that has a Starz subscription. 50 Cent produces many of his Books of Power books, Books of Power shows, Power, Raising Kanan, BMF, all this kind of stuff. I'm sure none of them are on your.
You say none of it makes sense. The titles are all over the place. Like Power Book 4, Rise of Power. You're like, what is it? What is going on? I wouldn't even know where to begin on this series. But go on.
Yeah. Your doppelganger stars in one of them, the Joseph Secura character. So you should at least watch that one in case anyone ever bumps into you in Vegas or whatever and goes, "Hey, yo, Tommy, what's up?" And you'll be like, "Yeah." But apparently he's developing a TV show basically based off of Eminem's book, Not Afraid, which is basically going to be an 8 Mile TV show. I'm sure you watched 8 Mile back in the day, Rob.
I did.
And thought
in fact, I might own a copy of it on DVD.
I don't even own a copy of 8 Mile. I distinctly remember renting it from Blockbuster. But do you have any interest in seeing Eminem's past explored in TV show format?
No.
What if I pitched you a different show, which was Vanilla Ice's career and growth or youth? Would you watch that show? And it'd be called "Yo, if you got a problem, I'll solve it."
Yeah, I saw Cool as Ice a couple of times. It was a couple of times too many. I don't need to see anything like that again. Here's the thing. I say no. I say no for 8 Mile. I have zero interest, but I have been known to have zero interest in watching a show, and I watch it, and I'm like, wow, it surprised me how much I enjoyed it. So
8 Mile, I recall being actually very good. At the time, as far as those type of movies go, the kids growing up, that type of thing, the rap battle element. It had Anthony Mackie as Papa something who battles Eminem in the rap battle. So you had
it was Mekhi Phifer. It wasn't Anthony Mackie.
No, Mekhi Phifer was Eminem's buddy. So Anthony Mackie was the rival rapper who was rapping against him. And Eminem takes all his lyrics and flips them around, known as the kind of the B Rabbit move or whatever now in the rap industry.
We got to we'll have to watch that again.
Yeah. See, Michelle's making the Mom Spaghetti reference. You have to. Rob, you mentioned it earlier. Flash, Stephen Amell did announce that he is probably going to show up in this new season, if not definitely, right? How excited are you for Flash season, final season 5? Is it 5?
9. Holy
Jesus. Starting February 8th, right around the corner.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, my son and I were taking the dog out for a walk last night, and we were talking about stuff, and he goes,
yes, thank you, Eric.
He goes, this year is stacked full of movies coming out. I go, yeah. And he goes, and thankfully the end of Flash. And I was like, no, the show. And I said, oh, right. We have the last few seasons just been hate watching the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it comes out February 8th on the CW in the US. We in Canada, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it has the last few seasons been appearing on Netflix the following day or 2 days later. So I'm assuming that will happen again. So, yeah, sure, whatever. Let's just.
you have to finish it, right?
9 or 10 episodes. That's it. Like it goes February to May or something, and then that's
like a half season. So they're just like, hey, let's just wrap this up. We got all these props. The set is still here.
I honestly, I couldn't care less. Right?
Do you not care a little bit more with this Stephen Amell announcement?
Well, it'd be interesting to find out what how he is being reintegrated. Is it a flashback episode? Is he coming back? Is Barry going into Speed Force and getting another? Like, who knows, right? So yeah, I think it's really cool that the guy who started it off is going to be there to finish off the end of the Arrowverse shows. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. I quite enjoyed Arrow, even though it had a lot of hits and misses, no pun intended, in its seasons. I thought it was a good show for what it was, right? So
yeah. There was a moment.
That first season was solid, man.
Yeah. The Flash first season, I remember everybody raved about it. Arrow season 1 and 2 are just fire. I haven't gone back to rewatch them, so I don't know if they're still as strong now. But there was a moment during the pandemic when Stephen Amell was working on that Heels show. And it kind of thought it was going away, and he entertained the idea of calling his agent and going, hey, maybe I'll do another Arrow because I'm stuck here in Canada and all this kind of stuff anyway. So I think it's got me at least interested in watching this episode of him showing up. So
and his Heels season 2 comes out in a few months as well, just so you know. So
that's one of those shows that I need to get. What's it on? Is it on anything? It's on FX or something like that? Is it on HBO?
Epic or Stars? One of those.
Oh, goddamn you, Stars! Stars, I can't watch my Power Book 1, 2, 3, 4.
You couldn't figure it out anyways. It doesn't make a difference.
It's all out of order. I used to watch the season 1 of Power, but shout outs to that, and shout outs to hate watching the finality of your series. I think I did that with Sons of Anarchy. It really jumped the shark for those last 2 seasons. And I couldn't even watch all the episodes. I had to read summaries. And then I tuned back in for the finale just so you could see how it ended. And I wish I didn't because it was trash. Shout outs to Kurt Sutter. I am watching Mayans MC, which he only produces, and that actually seems like a pretty good show. So we'll go back to that.
I remember hate watching Damages with Glenn Close.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Glenn Close. I remember when she was in S.H.I.E.L.D.
I was like, it's okay. And then you realize there's like 4 seasons, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch. And because I am a completionist, so I had to watch them. I was so mad.
Yeah. I considered watching it because remember when she was in S.H.I.E.L.D. and she was amazing in the S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they're like, oh, now she's on this other show, Damages, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go check it out. And then I saw the promotional stuff for it, and I'm like, nah, that doesn't seem like the show for me. But in your favorite type of news, Rob, there was an article that said DC would entertain the idea or is okay with the idea of having Ezra Miller return for Flash projects.
What
are your thoughts on this?
It won't happen. I think they're saying that they leak that out publicly so as to get him to stay focused on his rehabilitation efforts. He's made it public that he doesn't want to lose the role. I think they're saying that so that way if they can get him still on the straight and narrow, maybe they can use him in some form of publicity or promotion for the movie coming out.
So
in
you
June.
think they're doing it in kind of like a carrot on a rope?
Yeah, carrot and a stick. Yeah. And then he's gonna go, I did it, guys. And then they go, yank. Here's your new Flash, KJ Appa.
Which I would watch that. I love Archie. If he did return, would you be like, I'm done, or would you be like, I guess I have to finish this?
Well, listen. So apparently, though, Warner, the rumor is that part of this article that this came from is that Warner Brothers are like just blowing loads of excitement with this movie, that The Flash is supposedly really, really good. So much so, in fact, John, after like a 5-year absence, Warner Brothers are going back to the Super Bowl and purchasing a couple of time slots to air a Flash trailer.
Okay.
Which you think, oh, okay. But don't forget, they have Shazam coming out like a month after, like in March. And they've completely ignored all marketing and they're putting it all into The Flash because apparently it's just phenomenal. So we'll see.
Rob, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Because we know what happens with that.
In regards to DC projects. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Rob, this was one of the articles that you got brought to our attention. Paul Mescal? Is
so
going to be cast in a Gladiator 2?
Yeah, man. So for years and years and years, Ridley Scott has kind of teased his desire to make a sequel to this movie that came out in 2000. And obviously, it hasn't happened.
A 20-year legacy sequel is what you're saying.
23 years later, he's going ahead. He's going to direct it. This guy is like in his late 80s or early 90s, I think. But he's going to be directing a sequel with, like you said, Paul Mescal, which you can see on the screen here. Now, listen, is it spoilers 23 years later? But Maximus, as played by Russell Crowe, he died.
So I was going to say, it's been some time since I saw Gladiator, Rob, but
all right. Well,
correct me if I'm wrong. Does he die?
Yes. However, Mescal plays the son of Commodus, who was played by Joaquin Phoenix. So,
I think the idea is that he is so inspired by Maximus. I guess I don't know what's going to happen from that, but I guess this would be more Gladiator era stuff, which is a pretty good popular genre. Like I do love Spartacus. I remember
Sandals.
But I remember Gladiator at the time when you would ask people what their top favorite movie was. This movie Gladiator would be on their list, and it seems to have disappeared recently. Is it not as good now, Rob? Have you watched Gladiator recently?
I watched it just within this past year. I feel like it might have been this past summer. I sat and I watched it. I still quite enjoyed it. Yeah. I still liked it quite a bit.
Okay. I was wondering, like, because it seems to have disappeared. I remember when you would talk to people and you'd be like, what are your top 5 favorite movies? Yeah. Gladiator, 100% would always show up on, especially men's lists, right? You know, I think there's something about, you know, the Gladiator era or the visceral appeal of it. Scott, are you not entertained? And then you throw a phone at somebody. I think that's what he did in the movie,
right? On my command, unleash hell, which is what I often say before I go to the bathroom after eating Taco Bell.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's see. 23 years later, sure, why not?
Let's see. Legacy sequels are working for the most part, so let's see what happens with a Gladiator sequel that apparently he wanted to do back in the day and waited 20 years to do. So we'll see.
Better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So another one was David Bautista dropped a little like teaser thing where he went all out. I guess this is his pitch to be in a Gears of War movie. I don't know if you saw the video at all, Rob. I got a little screenshot from here.
Wasn't that from years ago though? Didn't he do that years ago?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't vet all my research, Rob.
I feel like that was from like a few years ago because he still has hair in this clip, John.
Maybe I'm wrong, but what do you think of David Bautista starring in a Gears of War movie? Remember when Gears of War everybody was playing this game?
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
People were buying Xboxes just to play Gears of War, and then it kind of just disappeared.
Well, the first 3 Gears of War games were amazing, and then the creator Cliff Bleszinski, he left, and they left it. They gave it to the reins to other people, and they shit it down the toilet. So, as often happens. Yeah, man. I don't know. Sure, whatever. Let's see. I mean, Batista's in his 50s now, and he's gone on record last week saying the Guardians 3 will be the last time he plays Drax. So, is 50 something too old to play, in a Gears movie? I don't know. But if you're looking to have somebody do a couple of movies, he'll be in his 60s lugging around that equipment. I don't know, man.
Yeah. When I played Gears, though, I never thought of Marcus Phoenix as a young man. So I think he could definitely do it if that's the character he's vying for. And Scott mentions he was pretty good in Glass Onion. Yeah, a lot of the projects we've seen him in have been pretty fun. And I guess we'll go to our last thing here, Rob. Do you know what story I'm going to talk about right now? Did you hear this rumor? It was going pretty hot on the internet that Aaron Taylor Johnson, right, is his name, from Bullet Train.
Yeah, well, he was Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. He kick ass. Godzilla. This is a horrible mock-up that somebody has done. It doesn't even look like Aaron Taylor. Neither does that, to be honest.
Yeah. This must be a pretty old picture.
I don't think that's actually Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Get out of here.
No, I'm sure that's not him at all.
Is it a guy that looks like him? No, look, it's the same beard.
Yeah, that's not Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know who that is. That's why I was like, I don't know what's happening here.
Can I do my Chris Rock and go, oh yeah, look alike? Or not Chris Rock, Chris Tucker.
I don't know what you've done. Yeah. So, as is protocol, when a James Bond retires, immediately talk always goes to who will be the replacement. And Daniel Craig stepped away from the role this past year, and there's always been talk of who's, a year and a half or year and a bit, who's going to take over. And now in the last couple of months, but especially the last week or two, it looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson is according to the tabloids, is the front runner.
Rumors, folks.
Rumors to be the front runner. And, I'm not upset about that. He's a young enough guy. I think he's in his early 30s. He is also Kraven the Hunter, so we'll see.
We'll see if that ever comes to fruition.
But yeah, I could see him as James Bond. I could see him because they want to go a little bit younger, so they have somebody for at least 4 installments. That's the way that these guys work. It's like almost 20 years. So I can see I can see him in the role. Sure, why not? But I'd rather there be an announcement sooner than later. How's that?
Yeah. So you want confirmation. You don't want all this speculation.
I get tired of these clickbait articles. I was like, new Bond announced, and it's like, not yet, but here's who it could be. You're like, oh, come on.
That's how they get you. Everyone's itching to get that new James Bond, or at least some. I'm sure you want to hear something, though. I'm sure you want to hear something of a new James Bond.
I want to hear
being thought about, at least.
No, I want their confirmation to be a new Bond, because when they do that, then they also have a release date of the next Bond movie. So then you get something to be excited about, right? So
yeah. Scott
I'm calling it right now, 2025. It'll be November 2025 will be the next Bond movie. I think they're going to make an announcement by this fall. I think you'll have a formal announcement that gives them a year and a bit to film the movie and released in November of 2025.
Yeah. And you can tell Rob's really put some thought into it, because I think he's checking his calendar to map it out. He didn't just throw a date off the top of his head, folks. He's actually put legit thought into when this next Bond is going to happen. I think the whole Idris Elba as Bond thing is probably sailed. They missed their opportunity to really get.
And he doesn't want to do it either. He's too old.
Yeah. He might be too old. Maybe his star is not as bright now. I think he did drop another movie on streaming recently or something that I saw pop up. So I think he's a fantastic performer, except in Hobbs and Shaw, but that's besides the fact. And speaking of 007, should we talk about what's going down next week, Rob, since this movie is potentially going to retire the whole franchise when they see how
you're such an idiot. Oh God, you call me the bozo.
Did you see what is going to be happening in the new movie of this franchise that we're going to be talking about in a second? Like, how do you top any of this that's going down?
Well,
they tried. They tried with Daniel Craig, and that poor man destroyed his body trying to pursue this version of Bond, right?
Yeah. So we were waiting. I was hoping that we'd get the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer tonight.
Yeah. I had the picture ready. I'm like, if the Ant-Man trailer drops, maybe we'll do like a live reaction, but
it hasn't dropped yet. So, okay. So John's kind of alluded to it. If you haven't picked it up in his hinting as of yet, we at the Sidekick Show are going to do what we're going to call Mission Mondays. And we're doing the first Monday of every month. We will be revisiting
for the whole thing.
Mission Impossible movie. But we're cheating a little bit because we're going to start next week, which we know is not the first Monday. But there's 7 movies, and that leads us into July, which is when Mission Impossible 8, Dead Reckoning Part 1 comes out. So next week, the 16th, we will be watching Mission Impossible from 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. We will be watching that movie, kicking off Mission Mondays, and then thereafter, the first Monday of every month, it is Mission Mondays. And we will be going in its obvious numerical system.
No, let's shake it up, Rob. Let's put it in a mixer and watch them out of order. We can probably watch Mission Impossible 2 at any point in time because it's just out there.
Yeah, well, that's the John
Woo. 2 is the John Woo one, right? Yeah, 2 is the John Woo one.
Yeah, you get motorcycles spinning around in doves. So for people who are asking what is, in Canada, all the Mission movies are on Paramount Network, Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus, or you can buy the handy 6 movie pack off Apple iTunes.
Yeah, they're always on sale for like $30 or whatever. But that's what we're starting off with. Next week, it is kicking off Mission Mondays. It is Mission Impossible 1996, Brian De Palma directing, with obviously Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, John Voight, Jean Reno. Oh God, who am I missing? The whole other actors and actresses.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, Rob,
including Canadian Henry. What's his name? Anyways, it looks like he'll be making a reappearance in Dead Reckoning. So that's pretty exciting.
Interesting. So we'll be all caught up. So everyone take notes as you're watching. I feel like this series is worthy of you picking up if you can't find it on.
I've got them. I've got them on physical and digital. So I'm.
Yeah, I feel like, man, the Apple. I think iTunes, it did have a sale on it. It was half price during the holidays, so we probably should have given you guys a heads up earlier. But if you find a physical copy, I feel like they're actually really cheap for at least the first 3 movies or whatever. They're probably blowing out those box sets, and then you get all 6. But I haven't watched this movie, Rob, since it came out in theaters.
Oh, really?
I think it came out around the same time as The Rock, Eraser, and Mission Impossible. I think they were all either very similar years or close together, era-wise. But I haven't watched it since then, and I love the new ones a lot. And even 3. I know a lot of people crap on 3. I actually, if I recall correctly,
I like
3.
I like 3, directed by J.J. Abrams with Philip Seymour Hoffman. I like 3 quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm concerned about 2. I'm concerned about the John Woo number 2. I remember liking it when I was a kid, and I remember rewatching it when we grew up and being like, I don't know about this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so just so you know, like on Amazon, and John, you can probably put the link in. The Amazon 6 movie Blu-ray collection, I believe, is $45.
Oh, that's it.
If you want only the first 5 movies, it's $38, and then you can buy the other movie yourself. So it's out there. The movies are out there. On iTunes, it's a bit expensive right now in Canada. It's $80. It actually would be cheaper for you to do a Paramount Plus for even a month at $10 for the month and watch all the movies. So, but if you don't have them, I'm sure you can find them. I'm sure a friend of yours has got them. I'm sure you can get them somehow. But you definitely want to tune in. I know John's super excited about this. I watched all of these movies about 2-something years ago. I showed my son all of them. So
okay.
So I'm, but it's been a couple of years, so I'm pretty excited to kind of go back to it. I watched the first one in the theater like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say predictions on the rewatch of the first one, because I haven't seen it forever. Do you think it's gonna hold up? Is it any indication of what the series was gonna become?
Nope.
No, yeah. I remember it not quite being the action craziness that the franchise is now.
Yeah, it's vastly different. Just as we talked about at the beginning of this show about how Fast and Furious, it's hard to see a thread line from where they started to where they are. You can very much say very similar. I think you could take a look at Mission Impossible 3 and you could see the DNA and trajectory of where they are now. I don't think J.J. Abrams gets enough credit for what he did with Mission 3. And he's still the producer on these movies. Still Bad Robot movies. So,
yeah.
You can definitely see what he did and lay the foundation for a newer idea, a bit more of a fun, poppy idea of Mission Impossible. But definitely number one is a bit more of an old school espionage type movie that tried to skew to the TV series. And number two is John Woo doing his
John Woo thing.
So,
John Woo thing.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise wearing a lot of Oakleys and running around in slow motion. So
that's right.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Off of mountains.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. With his long hair, I think the longest his hair has been almost John Wick like.
He was just this far outside of the grunge era with his long hair.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, imagine Tom Cruise with the long hair and the facial John Wick. So Fraser says he has 4 of them. You must have a bunch of them at least. So let's fill in those collections, folks, or just rent number 1 because it is going to be. I feel like it's going to be very different than the other ones, but let's go. Let's rock and roll. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch a new Mission Impossible movie the first Monday of every month and join us for some fun times.
Right.
And then we'll try and announce what else is going on. So Fraser's got 1, 2, and 3 in Ghost Protocol. So hopefully you'll get the other ones. It's number 2. Hey, are we going to go to Austin Powers? Are we ever going to get an Austin Powers rewatch? I feel like that movie was huge part of the culture, and then now it just disappeared.
Yep.
Everyone making fake British accents and doing those jokes. And Michael Myers really was in there, and then he's gone. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. They came out with a Pentaveret, and like a fart in the wind, it was gone pretty quickly.
It'll probably be on the trajectory to come back. Beyonce was even in one of those damn movies. It's
Gold
crazy.
number 3.
Yeah, crazy. There's 3? I thought there was only 2.
No, there's 3.
God damn. All right. I'll pull some sound bites because I feel like we use a lot of sound bites from this movie.
Yeah, I think number 2 was the spy who shagged me.
All right, Austin Powers. Maybe we'll put it on the back burner, folks. But Mission Impossible next week.
Mission Monday kicks it off.
Yes. I'll have to check what Steve's talking about. Egan Chen days. Yeah. Love Guru. Yeah, Love Guru. Definitely. That did not help.
Yeah.
That did not help. But thank you, Rob. It's good to see you, man.
Man. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Again, we teased it a few weeks ago. It just, things came in and got in the way. But the Heroes World Podcast Best of 2022, Best and Worst, will be coming out.
Best, worst, most disappointing.
Don't have your notification bells ready. Keep it locked and loaded because that will be coming in the next number of days. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year, pal.
All right. Happy New Year to y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us on your Monday night. We'll see you next week.